So now I'm going to show you the 3-line, and I think what I'm going to do is rather than do a whole letter for this, well, actually maybe I will. I'll do a whole letter. So a couple things about 3-line. So you again start with a single line. I'll attempt to spell this properly this time. There's no autocorrect in hand lettering. Notice that I'm giving lots of space to these letters. Look how much wider they are. I'm being careful with them. Part of the reason with the 3-line letter is it consumes so much space, you have to kind of plan for it a little bit, both in the space it consumes and then the space between the lines. Because if you don't watch out, you'll end up crashing, the letters will crash into each other. So what we do is the same process, right? I'll do this slowly. This, I don't know if I would do 3-line fast or not. There's some advantages and disadvantages. So you notice I'm doing lines. So there's my 2-line, right? And then you'll start seeing why I made some of those choices. So let's come back around. All right. So we've got 2-line. Now with 3-line, what you're doing is you're adding another line on the outside. So you see what I mean? Like if I'm not careful, those could crash into each other. And I left enough space there, it looks like. So I'm going to put this line below. You notice that I made that U very wide to accommodate that 3rd line. So you're I'm sort of visually trying to prepare for it. I've decided to put that on the inside because I don't want the S to get too much taller, but I might cheat it a little bit. And then I'll do the same thing here. What I might do is actually add a little line below it, even though it's not quite right. So there's going to be some playing around I'll have to do. So you can see what I mean about this being a little bit trickier because just the expansion from single line to 3-line is so much greater. So I'll do the same thing as I did before. Cap all the edges, all the ends. The S might be tricky, so we'll have to do some, maybe do some magic on that one, we'll see. So there we go. You can see that already that the S is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to have to do some playing with that. Now what I do is, now that I built the frame, I come in and I just color in with the marker the space that's to be filled. Notice that one of the other things, notice how small the counter for the A is, really tiny. So that's something to be aware of. So you can see why this takes more planning and thinking and control, just because you're making such a bold letter form. So remember, we sort of spun from the inside to the other inside. So I have to see if I can pull out some magic and fix that up. That'll be for the next step. All right, so I've got it pretty much filled in. The E is a little bit taller. So the S is going to be my problem. How do I solve that? I'm not totally sure. I think actually I might come on the outside. Like I would tighten this up and I wouldn't get much more than this. I would kind of round that. The trick, I think probably what I should have done is stopped here and come to the bottom as I look at it now. So maybe my solution in the moment is just simply to add more to the S on the bottom. So the S will be a little bit bolder than maybe I had intended, right? But that's okay. Kind of like that it's got that human touch. It was not a machine that made that letter. And I think that's part of the beauty of lettering, is to not have it look too machine made. So I can see, the other thing I'm noticing too is I'm having a consistent issue with the U and the S. So that's an area I can work on with practice, knowing where I should place that. And this one, the E was a little bit loose. Here, I think it's okay. Had I done the S a little bit better, I probably would have been okay with spacing. But I can now see that turning inside on that 3rd line was a mistake, and I should have gone to the outside and I would have had a better fit. And that's okay. Sometimes when I run into those situations, I actually like push into it further. So what I might say is like, all right, so I've got a really tight counter here. Let's just make this the style, because it's my style. I can do what I want to. So actually I'm going to come in on the U and actually thicken this up. Notice that the inside of the U, the counter there, is getting tighter. I'll do the same thing here. And let's make this like super bold lettering, right? So rather than try and run away from this mistake, actually drive right into it and make it the style. So you can see I'm probably pretty close to tightening it up. So now all the openings are really tight. Makes that super, super bold. So that's 3-line lettering.